Welcome everyone to the Bosco Youth Network Zambia. I'm your host Alice Piri, and joining me today on set we have Precious, who is from the organization abbreviated as SHARPZ. Now, SHARPZ mainly deals with mental health issues, but I will not go further into that. I will allow her to explain to us and educate us on what they do exactly. So without having much to say, welcome Precious.
Thank you very much, Alice.
So basically, I choose to believe that you also deal with child sexual abuse, do you?
Yes, we do.
So that's the basis of today's program, child sexual abuse. So would you like to tell me what you think in general, not classifying into child sexual abuse, but then what do you think child abuse is?
Well, child abuse it's a very broad term.
Yes.
So mostly we focus on the ill treatment of children.
Okay.
Yes. So when we talk about abuse, it ranges from neglect, it can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be sexual. So it's complex.
Okay, so that being said, how would one recognize that they are being abused? Or how would someone out there recognize that someone, a friend, a family member is being abused?
Okay. So mostly the victim is not even aware in most cases that they're being abused unless awareness has been raised to them. Because you find that most of us in the communities where we're coming from, we've normalized abuse. So if you're being hit by a parent or caregiver, most of the times we normalize it and would say, we even have all these underpinning beliefs, like spare the rod and spoil the child. It's a very famous underpinning belief that would make a child become vulnerable to abuse, especially physical abuse.
Okay.
So most of the times, unless the victim would not really come out and talk about abuse, unless there are other people that would spot abuse, and then that is when maybe in the long run they'll try to open up about it.
Okay. So you said something very interesting towards discipline, where parents think it's okay, it's alright to either raise a hand or use something other than their hands, like a stick. Do you think raising a hand at a child is the most effective way of disciplining a child?
No, it's not. But you'll find that parents have their own way that they defend that act. They'll always bring about the underpinning belief like spoil the rod and spoil the child. But abuse is abuse. Whether you raise your hand, whether you use your fist, whether you use a stick in trying to discipline a child, it is still abuse because there is physical harm there.
Okay, so to what extent should a parent raise their hand at a child? Because people might get it wrong out there.
Yeah.
They might get it wrong, saying no, and especially as children, we will grow up with that saying that okay, if my mom tries to discipline me, she's abusing me. So to what extent should that be allowed?
Well, discipline, there are effective ways of disciplining, and there are so many ways that you can use to discipline.
Kindly share.
Yes. For example, you can withhold a privilege. And it doesn't have to be a basic need, because I've seen some parents say because you've not done your chores, you will not have shima, or you're not going to have breakfast. That is extreme. You cannot withhold basic needs of a child. But you can still withhold a privilege. If your child loves to watch a cartoon, you say because maybe you've not done this chore, you will not watch this cartoon, but you'll still watch later. So it doesn't have to be over a long period of time. And then, you can always try to use other ways, like when you are trying to promote a behavior, you can do behavioral reinforcement by even introducing a reward system.
Alright, thank you. Clear now. So when you look at the groups we have in our country, which group is most likely to undergo abuse?
Well, it's a bit of both. But when we talk about abuse, it's broad, so it's not very specific. So, for example, if we talk about sexual abuse, so we know that females are more likely to get abused, or children that are differently abled. They are more likely to be abused compared to the other part of the other children. Well, basically it's because of statistics.
Okay.
So that's why we lean towards that.
So to the people that, categorize this, normally they turn a blind eye to the boys and normally focus on the girls. Should it be like that?
No, well, if we're not only supposed to focus on the girls, because even boys are vulnerable.
True.
And now you find that sometimes it's not even easy for a boy to come out in the open and say, hey, I was abused, maybe physically or sexual, simply because of the stigma.
Yeah.
We have a different belief system where we say, oh, mamuna salila. So if a man says I'm being abused, or if a boy comes out and say I'm being abused, they have all sorts of underpinning beliefs. They'll say, but it's a thing that mamuna sachepa. How can you be abused? A man cannot cry even when you can't break down. Like for example, they would say, even coming for therapy, you find that men would never come to therapy because they say that's for women. Men are strong.
For women.
Yes, they drink about it and laugh about it.
Right. So, bringing me to my next question. When it comes to reporting cases, firstly, I would like to start with our legal system. How strong do you think the legal system in Zambia is?
Okay.
That's smiling.
It is strong if you know where to report. So most of the times you get to hear things like maybe a person would complain about the legal system not being strong or not being straight. So for me, it's about where you report the case and maybe how you report it, because you need to have a designated place where you actually report a case where you feel like it can be handled. Definitely if we talk about cases of abuse, if you go to the police, there is a specific unit that handles that. So if you have to go to a child protection unit where you see an officer that is specifically designed to handle those type of cases. Yeah.
So not everyone is educated.
Yes.
Personally, I would say I didn't know this. So what steps or measures have you put in place to try sensitize the people out there when it comes to child abuse?
Well, currently we're training youths in the community where we're trying to talk about child safeguarding and child protection. So these youths are going to be in the communities where this violence is happening and where it's taking place. And our expectation is that they can pass the knowledge to the next person, because we have a lot of friends in the community. We have schools where these learners actually go and meet. So we're trying to raise awareness to the children so that they can be more knowledgeable about these cases of abuse and where they can report in an event that it happened to them or somebody.
Okay.
So, abuse takes time, especially if it was sexual, for a victim to actually come out and talk about it. So sometimes it cannot just be there and then, but those people would need time and patience because of the nature of abuse. You know that there are certain children that have been threatened. Where someone even grabs a knife and says, I'm going to slice your throat if you talk about this. So it becomes very scary. So the most important thing for you to do, it could be you are the parent or guardian to that child, is that you offer them support. The first type of support that you can offer is actually helping that person to go to therapy, and also being aware and recognizing the indicators of abuse. So sometimes even when a child is being abused, you can't even know that they're being abused. Sometimes it's because of the relationship that we have with our kids. Those kind of words that a parent would, or a caregiver would say. So they would make them become distant towards them. So when a child talks about abuse, we need to take them seriously, and we don't have to be dismissive of the concerns that they have. Or if your child is not comfortable with a certain grown-up, or it could be somebody just that is around the house. If they're not comfortable with being around them, you don't force a relationship, but the best thing would be to explore it further and to be able to understand how you can be able to help your child from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Precious.
Thank you so much.
We have come to the end of our show. I hope you've learned something from this topic. It is very helpful, especially to the children that are undergoing sexual abuse. So please be a brother's keeper. Report cases of child abuse, don't keep it in. And on behalf of my production crew, it's a bye-bye. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. God bless you all.